Captain, we have a proximity alert with the planet Geekery. We are approaching collision.
Quicks, get somebody on the comms, enter in the security code.
257.
Security code accepted.
Hello, devoted geeks, and welcome to episode 14 of Comm Talk, the podcast extension of Geek Devotions, the YouTube show from a couple of devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. I am Celeste, and with me is...
Dallas!
Today we will be sharing a very interesting article on bullying that Dallas wrote for our friends over at Geeks Under Grace. Before we get into that, though, we do want to give a very special thank you to everyone who gave to our You Caring campaign. We especially want to thank Carlos Renfro of the Healing Truth Ministries podcast and Francisco Ruiz of Retro Rewind podcast, both of which you can find on iTunes, Google Play, and many other favorite podcast catchers.
As you listen to this podcast, please interact with us. Send us some of your thoughts on what we are saying via Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can find us simply by looking for Geek Devotions. Leave some comments or interact with us on Facebook and Instagram, and perhaps you just might become the devoted geek of the month. This article that I'm about to read for you guys is one that I actually wrote for our friends over at Geeks Under Grace, which you can find at geeksundergrace.com. They have all kinds of great reviews of video games and movies and comic books and books and all kinds of really great things. But there's a section called Christian Living, which as of right now of this recording, which is the 10th of September of the year 2017, if you hover over Christian Living, a little drop-down menu comes up and you can see us right away. The article is called How to Be the Professor X to Bullied People in Need. And this was a article I wrote for them as part of their theme that they ran for a few weeks ago, about going back to school and some of the different aspects of it. This was kind of a personal article of mine, and so I asked the board over at Geeks Under Grace if they mind me turning into a podcast, and they gave me the green light, which I appreciate so much. I want to encourage you guys to go to geeksundergrace.com and leave some love. Check them out. Use the resources that they have available to you there. And in the show notes of this particular episode, we're going to have links to the actual article on geeksundergrace.com and also some links to some groups that you can go to and check out if you yourself are being bullied and you need some help. Now, as I read this article, I broke it up into a few sections, and so every so often you hear me pause and read the name of the section and then the actual meat of it. So buckle up and let's get ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Section 1. Entry to Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. On Saturday, October 31st, 1992, I sat down in my Batman PJs in front of my TV, ready for my traditional Saturday morning cartoon marathon. 8-year-old me was elated with joy and intrigue as a new show aired, X-Men, the animated series. I was drawn in instantly by the amazing 90s guitar-driven intro and the flash and sparkle of the introduction of the new characters. However, after that intro, things began to change. What started off looking like a typical action-packed villain of the week type of show turned into a deep and serious conversational one. I found myself completely invested in the story as it followed a young girl named Jubilee and her new friends who were out just to help her. They just wanted her to be safe in a school called Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. My origin story. I was born with what's known as bilateral club feet. It's a deformity where one foot or both appear to have been rotated internally at the ankle. Without treatment, people with club feet often appear to walk on their ankles or on the sides of their feet. Being bilateral, I had both feet rotated. After many years of surgeries, special shoes and inserts, I had gotten to a point where I could walk. But it was certainly on the sides of my feet most of the time. This condition made typical kid stuff like running, hiking, etc. a little difficult to do. Because I couldn't do what other boys were doing, I was instantly an outcast. I was an easy target for other 8-year-olds and school-ground bullies. While my mom was always there for me, sadly my stepfather, who I'd always looked up to as the manliest man I had known at the time, did not have much patience for me. At age 8, things weren't too terrible, but still, the feelings of being an outcast were real, and to find a show that highlighted that emotion was intriguing. Shortly after discovering the X-Men, my new heroes, my family moved to a small town in Missouri. It was here that the bullying escalated. Most of the kids around me were farm children or super athletic. They found their identity in what was around them, and they flourished. Sadly, I was about as opposite from all that as I could be. I didn't like running. I liked watching movies like Logan's Run, 1976 by the way. I didn't like sports, but I liked comics about intergalactic games that held the fate of the universe. Much like Jubilee and the other young mutants, I knew I was different. I just didn't understand why so many people had an issue with it. Now, I want to make a disclaimer here. While I was bullied greatly, it wasn't by everyone in town or even in my class. There was a great deal of fantastic people who went to school with me and lived in that town, but those who did bully me, it felt like Senator Kelly's mob protesting, crying out for the Mutant Registration Act. As I walked the halls, I was called things I wouldn't want to put on paper. I was pushed and mocked on the playground. I had things taken away from me and I was taunted because I wasn't strong or fast enough to get them back. I longed to be like Nightcrawler in those days, to be able to teleport out of the situation or slide into a dark corner and simply disappear. I longed to have a Professor X roll up to my school and invite me to a special school for gifted children so I could feel safe, accepted, and taught that what made me different was a gift and not something to be shunned. Flash forward many years later, I'm proud to say that I've been through the danger room at Xavier's, and I'm currently residing on one of the many teams that make up the X-Men. My mission is to help find other young lone mutants who have yet to discover the gates of Xavier's Institute. But what do you do in the meantime? What do you do if you've yet to find others like yourself? What about those of you who were never a lone mutant, who was bullied and felt out of place? What can you do? Well, the rest of this article is for you guys. To the lone mutant. I reached out to real-life Professor Xavier, Jody Dice, of Say Something School Assemblies. His job is to literally go into schools and find the outcast and help them. His personal team of X-Men travel the nation doing school assemblies that raise awareness about bullying and human trafficking, a common end result of people who don't get the help that they need. I asked Jody what the most important thing he would say to someone struggling with bullying. In his words, he said, "Don't hold it in silence. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody you love and respect that will listen to you. One of the biggest lies out there is that sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. It's a big lie. They stack up on you big and will destroy you." Out of that conversation with Jody, I discovered the most important thing you can do is be vocal and let people you trust in your life know that you need help. Jody comes at this from a very personal direction. His daughter was bullied to the point that she attempted to commit suicide. The problem wasn't that no one listened to her. It was that she never told anyone. She would delete messages and hide posts so her parents and those in her life who could actually help her would not even see them. My fellow lone mutant, I know it's scary to lift your voice at times. You worry that some sentinel is going to come out of the sky in the form of an Instagram post or a Snapchat or in a personal confrontation and wipe you out. If you say anything at all, but don't let that fear stop you. There are those in your life who can help you, but they can't if they don't know that you need help. Don't feel like you can't trust teachers, friends, or family. Reach out to the groups like Say Something Assemblies. Or if you are really on edge and are afraid that you are going to hurt yourself, please contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. I'm going to say that again. That's 1-800-273-8255. You are not alone. There are those who can help you get through this situation. To those who have been through Xavier's and those who aren't mutants, it's time to strap an X on your chest and move out. Statistics tell us that 1 in 3 young people have reported being bullied at school. While many of it takes place in person, with the rise of social media and peer pressure to ask people to anonymously rate and comment on you, cyberbullying has been on the rise. These people need our help. They need us to stand in the gap and show them there's a way out. Sadly, sometimes people who are bullied end up like the Morlocks, the group of mutants who, instead of taking a stand, have hidden themselves away in darkness. True, they are caring for each other, but they are still hurting and aren't getting the healing that they need. Often in these groups, you will hear them say things like, well, I told them not to say anything, or let's just keep this between us, thinking that the shared pain will help in the end. But according to Jody Dice, the old saying of silence is golden is a lie. Silence only helps to encourage the bullying and oppresses the bullied. Look for signs of bullying. Is someone suddenly making major changes in the way they act, dress, or talk? Are they hiding themselves away when in groups of people? Are they suddenly very secretive when before they were very open? They need an Xavier to step into their lives and not only offer camaraderie, but also a place of healing, to teach them how to get through life, and then on the flip side, help others who need help. Oftentimes, if someone would step in and confront the bully, it is discovered that the bully is only reflecting what he's been through. Many bullies are more like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, a group of mutants that band together and push around those who don't see things their way than they realize. Out of their pain, they have decided to hurt others. End of class. At the end of my conversation with Jody, he mentioned a few practical things to me. First was the fact that there are groups out there that people can get a hold of if they need help. I've mentioned those earlier, and I want to encourage you that if you are being bullied, know that someone who is being bullied, or maybe you are a leader in your community and you know the seriousness of the situation in your community, contact those who can help and make a change. It's never too late until it's actually too late. Something interesting he told me was that bullying isn't just about the person doing the hurting to the hurt. It opens the doors to have major ramifications. If someone is being bullied to the point of suicide, then the bully has not only hurt one person, but now they have hurt an entire family and communities. Another major issue rarely brought up is those who are bullied have such low self-esteem, they find themselves responding to anyone who will give them positive attention. Sadly, this is a major way for many young girls and boys to be brought into human slavery. They find themselves trapped by people who make them do horrible things because that person was the only person to show them any kind of positive attention. In turn, they believe the lie that they deserve nothing better and can get nothing better. The final thing that he told me that I had no idea about was that in my state of Louisiana and many others across the nation, it's actually a felony to do cyberbullying. He encourages people to look at their local laws and see if they are living in one of those states. And make sure your local schools know the seriousness of bullying and cyberbullying. If you do not live in one of these states, please contact your local government officials and get the ball rolling to help those who need help. Be the Professor Xavier to the thousands of hurting people in need of hope. Thanks so much for taking time to listen to this episode of Comm Talk today. Like I said, guys, this episode was pretty personal to me. This article that I wrote for Geeks Under Grace, there's a lot to it that really touched me deep inside. As someone who's worked with young people for many years, I've seen some of these kids that are hurt so badly that the slightest positive attention lights their world up. And if it's not someone who's doing it with pure intentions, then it'll be somebody with unpure intentions. And it just leads somebody getting hurt even more. So I want to encourage you guys to reach out to those who are hurting. Love on them. Show them that there's a better way, that there's hope, and that there's peace. And if you can, stand in the gap for them. Help defend them from those who would oppress them and hurt them even more. I want to encourage you guys, if you missed anything, if you missed any of the information I gave, go to geeksundergrace.com, check out the article, and there's hyperlinks to Jody Dice's Say Something School Assemblies, and also the phone number if you are feeling like you may hurt yourself pretty soon. Don't hurt in silence. Find someone who will listen to you. Keep saying it. Keep getting it out there that you're being hurt. Someone will listen eventually. I promise. So, like I said, if you guys enjoyed this episode, do me a favor, share it out. If you know someone who needs this episode, share it with them, and get this in the hands of people. Send them the link to the article. Again, in the show notes, they'll have all the information to the stuff that I put out there for you guys. Do me a favor though, also head over to iTunes and rate this episode, rate our podcast, subscribe, and leave a review. It's all really very much appreciated. So until next Sunday, stay devoted, peace, and love.